So I mean, he's so long, but his legs are a little bit longer than these shorter quarter horses. So sometimes I actually hear him clipping, but he's never actually cut himself.
Right. And I'll tell you why. So what happens is, this is what happens, right? So let me see. So he's like this. So his front foot comes up, his back foot comes forward, and that's what I'm
hearing.
This is where he's hitting. He's not hitting back here, where he can clip himself. He's hitting right here.
Okay.
And they maybe even do that sometimes barefoot occasionally, but you don't hear it.
Hear it.
So then you hear it when they got shoes on. So everybody misinterprets that. You don't hear your horse overreach very rarely. Now sometimes they'll rip a shoe off if they hook it, and you'll see that. But I had a horse get quite lame. I didn't run any bell boots on him at a gymkhana a few years ago, and I never heard him overreach once. The next day I looked at him, I was like, oops.
Oops.
You know, my bad type of deal. But you don't hear it because that's shoes or foot on soft tissue. So you're not going to hear that, or not hear it as loudly as this.
Right.
So this is not a big deal. It does annoy some people.
That's actually what I hear the majority of the time, and because. So this is why I ask these questions, because Conscious Farrier / AKA Bill Argent will actually share information with you as to what's required, or he'll start asking you questions or your horse questions. So I've learned more about my horse's feet, being like what's required, what doesn't work for Newt, what does work for Newt. From Bill. So asking some questions as to who your horse actually desires to have in their life can actually create greater in your life.
And sometimes this is just as simple as your horse being a little bit lazy, right? And not getting that front foot out there quicker.
How lazy is he when we leave camp to go in the mountain?
Yeah.
Like, and that's when I hear it a lot. But
home.
when we're coming home, he's high stepping. No, let's go home. I know there's a pail of oats at home.
Right. No clicking then.
There's no clicking then.
Depending on your horse's angle, right? Where I set that shoe and trying to get him, because I want his angle. So you're talking about him clipping a little bit?
Yeah.
So I can only trim his foot so short.
Yeah.
But I can set the shoe back a little bit. And then that takes a little more foot off and shortens that up a little more. It eases his breakover, quickens his breakover, and does that. Now I can leave that, like I don't have to rasp that off. I can leave it. It makes no difference. It's just aesthetics. I like the way this looks better. Some guys will leave that toe hanging out over the shoe. Just aesthetics, the way it looks. It makes no difference to the way he travels, really.
Okay.
He's going to do the same. It's not going to change. You know, you set the shoe back and rasp the foot off. I think it looks neater and tidier to me. But it makes no difference to how he travels. That's the way his foot is and the way he grows. I like to set his shoes back a little bit because then he stands up better than if I just kind of leave him out there. Just the way his foot grows and the way he just works out better for the way I think he should look and stand. Type of deal. So he gets what we call toeing. Like his toes kind of grow out and it looks like he has a lot of foot, but there's not a lot to trim off. Because he just kind of the way his foot grows, so then therefore you rasp it back a little bit. Just gives me more, like I'll probably change his angle by doing that like a degree or 2 degrees easily. Right. So there's actually a device to measure the angle of his foot, right? 52, 54, whatever degrees. You know, we were always taught somewhere between 52 and 54 degrees was a normal horse. I don't use that piece of equipment that much because I find it rather inaccurate, and I can make it say whatever I want it to say and manipulate it that way. I go more off of what I see here and where, you know what I mean, his natural angle of his shoulder and his foot, his pastern, all of that, and how I want it to look and what I think, the way I think it should look in the picture that I have of it, so that where I believe he's more comfortable type of deal. And that works better for me than this, he has to be 52 degrees, he has to be 53 degrees.
And how much of where you, because let's be honest, you don't think a whole bunch anymore with the tools of access and asking questions and using your awareness. So how much of where you set the shoe is an awareness of where you know the horse that you're playing with or creating with or shoeing or whoever's coming for a manicure. You're just aware of what's actually going to create greater for the horse that's standing here in the barn.
And it's a little bit easier with horses that I like him that I've done before. So then I have a little clearer picture of how I want, you know what I mean? How I want it to be. So, but after you do is horses for years and years and years, and two, you just kind of, for me, I look at them and I'm like, well, this is kind of, like I said, I don't think about it a whole bunch. I just, this is how I want it to be.
And how long have you been a farrier?
1987.
I was 3.
Yeah. This is when I graduated as a certified farrier. It was 1987. So I'm
like 30 years ago.
Yeah, pretty close to 30 years ago, right? Yeah, 30, I guess, this year. So that's the thing about it. So then, and I tell people when I do my intros, like, I have made a shit ton of mistakes. Like, I'm not even going to argue with you. But I've got so much more awareness out of those shit ton of mistakes. And not just from a farrier standpoint, just even from a horsemanship standpoint and how I dealt with horses at different points throughout, you know, because you deal with so many different energies, people, horses, all of that, and this big conglomeration. So yeah, I've made mistakes with customers, I've made mistakes with horses, I've made them all. And I laugh about it now because it's kind of funny now because it's not that significant, but it is where a lot of my awareness and what works for me and works for the horses came from.
And also, every so-called mistake we make, it was like what I sent yesterday, every so-called mistake we have made is from a fixed point of view that we have.
Yes.
So how much have all your points of views about what should be, shouldn't be, could be, would be
gone?
They're all gone. So then you actually function from your awareness and what's going to create the future you desire instead of the fixed points of views of, oh, well, he's leaning on me, I have to kick his ass because that's how my dad did it, or that's how they told me to do it in farrier school.
Exactly. Yeah.
You're actually willing to do what's going to create greater for you and the horse, as opposed to just like, no, I'm just going to kick the shit out of this horse. Because, I mean, to be quite honest with you, I was fully aware that when I started riding this horse, Newton, that if I went to the space of kicking the shit out of him, he was going to
kick you back.
He was totally willing to choose to treat me the same way. Because he's like, that actually doesn't work for me.
And some of them will just flat shut down on you.
Yeah, I've seen that before.
Yeah, and then they just shut down. So then that doesn't actually work all that great either. And I can usually get shoes put on them, but then, you know, it doesn't make it better for the next time.
Yeah.
For whoever the farrier is the next time, type of deal.
Whether it's you or someone else.
Me or someone else.
Yeah. Yeah.